The silence of space surrounded the unmarked vessel as it drifted between the stars, its stealth systems making it invisible to sensors. Inside the command center of HSS Phantom, Admiral Ju watched the holographic display with careful eyes. The ship existed on no official records, just like the 300 other vessels that made up humanity's ghost fleet. "Status report," Admiral Ju requested, her voice calm despite the tension. Officer Min looked up from his station. "All systems nominal. Stealth field at maximum efficiency. The Krell ships haven't detected us." The Ghost Fleet had been humanity's greatest secret for generations. While Earth presented itself to the Galactic Council as a minor power with limited space capabilities, the truth floated in the darkness between stars. For nearly 3 centuries, humans had built and hidden vessels throughout the galaxy, preparing for a day they hoped would never come. That day was approaching faster than anyone had expected. "Message from Ghost Station 7, Communications Officer Yoon announced. Krell forces have increased activity near Arcturus. They've added 3 dreadnoughts to their patrol routes." Ju nodded. The Krell were an aggressive species that had appeared at the edge of known space 50 years ago. At first, they seemed interested only in establishing territory, but recent intelligence suggested their goals were far more ambitious. "The Council still refuses to believe our reports," said Commander Kang, Ju's second-in-command. "Human Ambassador Park was laughed out of the chamber yesterday when he presented our findings." Ju's expression hardened. "The other species have always underestimated us. It's why the Ghost Fleet has remained undetected for so long." On the main screen, a recorded feed from the Galactic Council played. Species representatives from across the galaxy sat in tiered seating, their different forms and colors creating a living rainbow. At the center podium stood Ambassador Park, a tall man with determined eyes. "The Krell are not simply expanding, they are positioning for a full-scale invasion," Park explained to the Council. "Their ships have been mapping hyperspace routes to the galactic core. We've tracked unusual energy signatures consistent with weapons testing." The Valerian delegate waved a dismissive tentacle. "Humans always see threats where none exist. Your species has been paranoid since joining the galactic community." Several other delegates murmured in agreement, their translator devices creating a cacophony of confirmations. The Centaurian representative stood. "Perhaps if humans shared more of their technology and knowledge, we might take their concerns more seriously. You remain unusually secretive for a species claiming to seek cooperation." Ju switched off the feed. If they only knew. The truth was simple. Humanity had learned caution the hard way. In their first decades of space exploration, humans had been too trusting, too open. They had nearly lost Earth to a supposedly friendly species. The Ghost Fleet was born from that painful lesson. An urgent alert sounded through the command center. Officer Min's fingers flew across his console. "Signal from our operatives on Arcturus Station. Krell ships approaching in attack formation. They've disabled the station's communications array." Ju straightened. "Show me." The holographic display shifted to show Arcturus Station, a massive structure that served as the main defensive outpost for 3 allied species worlds. Around it, red markers indicated Krell warships moving into position. "They're starting with Arcturus," Commander Kang said grimly. "If it falls, the whole sector will be exposed." The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as the Krell vessels opened fire. Arcturus Station's shields flared brilliant blue under the assault. They were holding for now. But the attack pattern was methodical, targeting shield generators and weapon emplacements with surgical precision. "We could intervene," Officer Yoon suggested quietly. Ju shook her head. "Not yet. Revealing even one ghost ship now would compromise the entire fleet." A new alert flashed across the main screen. Intelligence reports streamed in from human infiltrators, placed throughout Allied space. The Krell weren't just attacking Arcturus. Ships had been detected moving toward the galactic core, toward the heart of Allied territory. This isn't an isolated incident, Ju realized. This is the beginning of their full invasion. The Admiral stood, her decision made. She walked to the center of the command bridge where a special console awaited. It required her handprint, retinal scan, and voice authorization. Ghost Protocol authorization, Ju Alpha 7 Echo 9. The console illuminated with a soft blue light. Confirm. Ghost Protocol activated. The system responded. Across the galaxy, hundreds of hidden vessels received the signal. The time for watching from the shadows was over. Humanity's secret guardians would finally reveal themselves to save a galaxy that never knew they existed. All ships, Admiral Ju commanded, prepare to emerge. Diplomat Bay watched helplessly from the observation deck of Rigel Prime Station. As the Krell warships tore through the outer defense grid, the Allied species fleet was fighting bravely, but they were outnumbered 3-1. Ships exploded in silent bursts of light and debris, their crews lost in seconds. "We need to evacuate the civilians," said Governor No, her voice shaking despite her efforts to remain calm. Rigel Prime was home to over 2 million beings from 12 different species. "Our shelters won't withstand a direct Krell bombardment," Bay nodded grimly. "I've requested emergency transport vessels, but most Allied ships in the sector are engaged in battle." The human had been stationed on Rigel Prime for 3 years as part of Earth's diplomatic corps. His official duty was to represent human interests in trade negotiations. What no one knew was that he also served as a covert observer for the Ghost Fleet. For generations, humans like him had been placed throughout Allied space, watching and waiting. An explosion rocked the station, causing the lights to flicker. Governor No steadied herself against the railing. "That was too close," she said. "Our outer shields are failing." Bay discreetly checked his secure communicator. The small device looked like standard diplomatic equipment but connected to the Ghost Fleet's encrypted network. A message flashed across its screen. "Ghost Protocol active. Support incoming." "Help is coming," Bay told the governor, trying to keep his voice neutral. Governor No gave him a desperate look. "Earth has no military vessels in this sector. The nearest Allied reinforcements are hours away." Before Bay could respond, one of the station's officers shouted from the tactical console, "New contacts appearing. Multiple vessels, and they're just appearing out of nowhere." On the main view screen, sleek ships materialized as if from empty space. Their stealth fields dissolved like morning mist, revealing vessels of unfamiliar design. They bore minimal markings, just small human flags and designation numbers. "Those are human ships," Governor No whispered in shock. "But how? Earth doesn't have this technology." The new arrivals moved with precision that defied conventional space tactics. They accelerated at speeds that should have crushed their crews, changing direction without the usual momentum lag. Their weapon systems activated in perfect synchronization, creating interlocking fields of fire that caught the Krell vessels in devastating crossfire. "Rigel Prime Station, this is Captain Dew of the HSS Spectre," came a transmission over the main communication channel. "We are beginning civilian evacuation operations. Please direct non-essential personnel to your shuttle." "Bays." Governor No stared at Bay. "You knew about this." He nodded slightly. "There are things about humanity we've kept hidden. For good reason." On the tactical display, more human vessels decloaked near the station. These were different, broader, with large bay doors that opened to reveal shuttlecraft launching toward the station. "Those are evacuation ships," Bay explained. "They can carry 10,000 refugees each." Governor No's assistant, a tall Andorian named Kell, approached with wide eyes. "The Krell are broadcasting on all frequencies. They're demanding we surrender the station or they'll destroy it completely." "Tell your people to begin evacuation immediately," Bay urged. "The Ghost Fleet will buy us time." Outside the station, the battle intensified. The human ships moved in formations never before seen in galactic warfare. They seemed to anticipate Krell maneuvers, countering tactics with perfect timing. "I don't understand," Governor No said as they hurried toward the evacuation zone. "Why would Earth hide such capabilities? You could have been a major power in the Alliance all along. We learned long ago that revealing your true strength makes you a target," Bay replied. "The Ghost Fleet was created to protect, not to dominate." A massive explosion lit up space as one of the human vessels deliberately collided with a Krell dreadnought, destroying both ships. The sacrifice created a gap in the Krell formation that 3 other Ghost Fleet vessels immediately exploited. In the main shuttle bay, thousands of civilians from dozens of species crowded onto the evacuation ships. Children cried, families clutched precious belongings, and medical teams treated the wounded. As Bay helped Governor No coordinate the evacuation, a message came through on his communicator. First wave complete. Ghost Fleet holding position. Prepare for secondary extraction in 30 minutes. Will your ship stay when we're gone? Governor No asked quietly. Rigel Prime is a critical Allied outpost. Bay nodded. The Ghost Fleet didn't reveal itself just to disappear again. This is only the beginning. On the station's external cameras, more human vessels were appearing throughout the system. Ships that had hidden in plain sight for generations were finally showing themselves, emerging like phantoms to defend a galaxy that never knew they existed. Everything changes today, Bay said, watching as another wave of evacuation shuttles departed. The galaxy is about to learn who humans really are. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from over 200 species filled the tiered seating, their voices creating a storm of noise. News of the human Ghost Fleet's intervention at Rigel Prime had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Some called humans heroes, others named them deceivers. Ambassador Gill stood calmly at the center podium waiting for order. Behind him sat Admiral Ju, her uniform bearing insignia never before seen in public, the crossed stars and phantom ship that marked the Ghost Fleet's high command. Silence, boomed the Arcturian Council president, his voice amplified through the chamber. The noise gradually died down. Ambassador Gill of Earth has requested this emergency session to address recent events, the president continued. In light of the unusual circumstances, we have granted this request. Gill nodded his thanks and began speaking. For 300 years, humanity has maintained a secret defensive force known as the Ghost Fleet. Ships and bases hidden throughout the galaxy, designed to activate only in case of extreme threat to galactic stability. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Centaurian delegate rose from his seat, his crystalline body reflecting light in angry patterns. You admit to placing military assets in our territories without permission? This is an act of war. Other delegates shouted their agreement. The Valerian representative waved her tentacles in the traditional gesture of accusation. Humans have been spying on the entire galaxy. How many of these hidden ships exist? Gill remained composed. The exact number is classified, but I can tell you that every ship has operated under strict orders. Observe, protect, but never interfere unless absolutely necessary. And you decided the Krell threat justified breaking your secrecy? Asked the Tellarite ambassador. We did, confirmed Gill. The Krell aren't simply expanding their territory. They intend to access and activate the ancient weapon in the galactic core. This statement brought stunned silence. The ancient weapon was a theoretical device left by a long-vanished species. Rumors suggested it could cause stars to collapse. Admiral Ju stepped forward. We've been tracking Krell movements for decades. Their attack patterns form a clear path to the core worlds. She activated a holographic display showing ship movements across the galaxy. Red lines indicated Krell advances, forming an unmistakable pattern converging on the galactic center. If the Krell succeed, no world will be safe, she continued. Not yours, not ours. The Danubian ambassador stood, her scales flashing with emotion. Why should we trust you now? You've deceived us for centuries. Gill sighed. After humanity's first contact with the Zavarians 3 centuries ago, we nearly lost Earth. They pretended friendship while positioning for invasion. We learned a hard lesson. In a galaxy of unknown threats, true strength must sometimes remain hidden. Admiral Ju tapped her console, changing the display. Now it showed communication patterns between certain council members and unknown sources. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. We have evidence that the Krell have infiltrated this very council, Ju stated flatly. Multiple delegates have been secretly communicating with Krell Command. The chamber erupted in chaos. Accusations flew between species. Guards moved to protect the most prominent delegates. Enough. Admiral Ju's voice cut through the noise. "We didn't reveal ourselves to watch you tear each other apart with suspicion." She highlighted specific communication patterns. "These 7 delegates have been compromised. Their communications match known Krell encryption patterns." As she spoke, security forces moved to surround the indicated delegates. The Phalon representative tried to flee but was quickly detained. When searched, a Krell communication device was found hidden in his ceremonial collar. "The Krell have been watching us through our own eyes," Gil explained, "learning our weaknesses, mapping our defenses." He paused, looking around the chamber. "You can hate humanity tomorrow for our secrecy. Today we need to fight together." The Arcturian president studied the evidence displayed before the council. Finally he spoke. "Ambassador Gil, what do you propose?" "A united defense," Gil replied. "The Ghost Fleet will share its tactical information and coordinate with allied forces. Together we can stop the Krell advance." Admiral Ju stepped forward. "I'm prepared to integrate Ghost Fleet vessels into a combined command structure. Our UI captains will accept allied leadership where appropriate." The chamber grew quiet as delegates considered this offer. Finally, the Andorian ambassador rose. "My people were saved at Rigel Prime by your Ghost Fleet. Whatever your reasons for secrecy, your actions speak of protection, not conquest." She bowed slightly to Admiral Ju. "Andoria will fight alongside humanity." One by one, other delegates indicated their support. Not all. Some still watched with suspicious eyes, but enough to form a coalition. As the council session ended, Admiral Ju approached Gil. "They've agreed more easily than expected." The ambassador nodded. "Fear is a powerful motivator, and they've just realized that the quiet humans they've underestimated for centuries might be their only hope for survival." Outside the council chamber, news of the alliance spread quickly. Across the galaxy, more Ghost Fleet vessels emerged. From hiding, revealing humanity's true face to the stars at last. Captain Nam stood before the assembled Allied commanders in the strategic command center of the Ghost Fleet base. For centuries, this asteroid facility had remained hidden in the shadow of a gas giant, undetected by any passing ships. Now it served as the headquarters for the combined fleet's counter-offensive against the Krell. Ghost Fleet vessels are designed with specific tactical advantages, Nam explained, gesturing to the holographic display showing different ship classes. The Whisper-class vessels can jam Krell communications and sensors. The Shadow-class carriers deploy drone swarms that overwhelm enemy targeting systems. The Phantom Dreadnoughts carry our heaviest weapons. Admiral Ju entered the command center, and the Allied officers straightened respectfully. In the weeks since the Ghost Fleet's revelation, the human admiral had earned their trust through successful defensive actions across 3 sectors. The Krell have established a forward base at Deneb, Ju announced, activating the tactical display. "Our intelligence suggests they're using it to stage for their push toward the ancient weapon." The display showed the Deneb system with red indicators marking Krell positions. Their forces had created a heavily defended perimeter around the 4th planet. "Conventional wisdom would suggest a frontal assault is suicide," said the Andorian. "Commander, studying the defenses," Admiral Ju smiled slightly. "Conventional wisdom doesn't know about our preparations." She expanded the display to show the surrounding space. Small blue dots appeared throughout the system. "For decades, we've seeded stealth monitoring platforms throughout strategic systems," Ju explained. "They've mapped Krell patrol routes, identified blind spots in their sensor grid, and analyzed their response patterns." Captain Nam continued. "We've essentially been preparing this battlefield for over 20 years. The Centaurian general looked impressed despite himself. "Your patience is unsettling. Survival requires foresight," Admiral Ju replied simply. The plan took shape quickly. The Allied fleet would approach openly from the system's edge, drawing Krell attention. Meanwhile, Ghost Fleet vessels would use their stealth technology to slip behind enemy lines and strike at command centers. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Ju pulled Captain Nam aside. "The refugee transport convoy from Rigel 3 will be passing near Deneb during our operation." Nam understood immediately. "They'll be vulnerable if the Krell detect them. Assign 3 Phantom-class vessels to provide escort," Ju ordered. "Those refugees must reach safety." 3 days later, the battle for Deneb began. The Allied fleet emerged from hyperspace at the system's edge, their weapons charged and shields at maximum. The Krell responded predictably, moving to engage what they perceived as the main threat. That's when the trap was sprung. Throughout the Deneb system, Ghost Fleet vessels decloaked in perfect synchronization. Ships that had been hiding in planetary rings, asteroid fields, and even in low orbit around Deneb's moons revealed themselves, opening fire from directions the Krell had thought secure. Captain Nam commanded the stealth group targeting the Krell's main communication relay. His vessel, the HSS Stalker, led 2 other ships through the chaos of battle, using the confusion to approach their target undetected. "Enemy vessels adjusting formation," reported his tactical officer. "They're trying to establish a defensive screen." Nam nodded. Too late. They'd been fighting blind for the first 3 minutes without realizing it. On the main view screen, Nam watched as Allied and Ghost Fleet vessels executed maneuvers that would have been impossible without weeks of joint training. The Krell, accustomed to fighting predictable enemies, found themselves unable to counter tactics they had never encountered. An urgent alert sounded through the command deck. "Captain, the refugee convoy has been detected by a Krell patrol," the communications officer announced. 3 heavy cruisers are moving to intercept." Nam checked the tactical display. His group was closest to the convoy's position. "Change of plans," he decided immediately. "We're diverting to protect those transports." The HSS Stalker and its companion ships abandoned their approach to the relay and accelerated toward the convoy. As they arrived, the first Krell cruiser was already firing on the defenseless transport ships. "Intercept course," Nam ordered. "Position between the Krell and the convoy." His ships moved into the line of fire, their advanced shields absorbing damage meant for the refugees. They returned fire with precision, disabling the lead Krell vessel's weapons. But the other 2 Krell cruisers concentrated their fire on Nam's smallest escort. The Ghost Fleet vessel's shields failed and its hull began to buckle under the assault. "They won't survive another volley," the tactical officer reported grimly. Nam opened a channel to all 3 of his ships. "Protect the convoy at all costs." Without hesitation, the damaged vessel accelerated directly toward the Krell cruisers. It collided with the lead ship in a blinding explosion that crippled both Krell vessels. As the battle concluded with an Allied victory, Nam's sensors detected unusual energy readings from deep within Krell territory. "They're rushing their timetable," Nam realized. "The main Krell fleet is already moving toward the ancient weapon." He sent an urgent message to Admiral Zhu. "Deneb secured, but we've discovered their true objective. They're closer to the weapon than we thought." The combined fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Krell territory. 500 Allied vessels formed the vanguard, their weapons hot and shields at maximum strength. Behind them appeared the largest gathering of Ghost Fleet ships ever assembled. Commander Han stood on the bridge of the Allied command ship, staring in amazement as more human vessels decloaked around them. They emerged from hidden bases concealed in asteroid fields, from the shadows of gas giants, and from what had appeared to be empty sectors of space. "How many ships do you actually have?" Han asked Admiral Zhu, who stood calmly beside him. "Enough," she replied with a small smile. "We've been building them for 3 centuries. The tactical display showed their target, the Krell homeworld. Intelligence gathered by Ghost Fleet infiltrators confirmed that the control mechanisms for the ancient weapon were being assembled there. If activated, the device could collapse stars throughout the galaxy, killing billions. All ships report." "Ready?" Captain Nam announced from his station. "The Krell have detected our arrival. Their defense fleet is mobilizing." Admiral Zhu nodded. "Begin the approach. Follow the plan exactly." The fleet moved forward in formation. As they neared Krell, space enemy vessels appeared in massive numbers. Nearly 1,000 warships arrayed to protect their homeworld. "They outnumber us," Commander Han observed quietly. "Numbers aren't everything," Admiral Zhu replied. "Watch." As the fleets closed to engagement range, the Ghost Fleet vessels executed a maneuver that defied conventional space tactics. Instead of maintaining formation, they scattered in seemingly random directions, each ship following its own unpredictable path. The Krell responded predictably, trying to track and target the scattered vessels. That's when the true strategy revealed itself. Each Ghost Fleet ship had calculated its trajectory to draw enemy fire away from specific coordinates. In the spaces they created, Allied bombers slipped through, targeting Krell command vessels. This battle plan, Han realized. You've simulated it thousands of times. For generations, Ju confirmed. Every Ghost Fleet officer trains against Krell tactics their entire career. On the main view screen they watched as Ghost Fleet vessels performed maneuvers considered impossible by conventional standards. They accelerated at speeds that would crush normal crews, changed direction without momentum lag, and coordinated their attacks with millisecond precision. How are your ships doing that? Han asked in amazement. Inertial dampeners beyond anything we've shared publicly, Ju explained. And crews trained from childhood to withstand extreme conditions. As the battle intensified, the Allied forces pushed closer to the Krell homeworld. Captain Nam's vessel, the HSS Stalker, led a strike group targeting the planetary defense grid. We're approaching the primary generator, Nam reported. Heavy resistance. The Stalker shuddered as enemy fire struck its shields. 3 escort vessels moved to protect it, absorbing damage meant for the flagship. We need to get closer, Nam told his crew. Divert emergency power to forward shields. As they pushed toward their target, one of the escort vessels took critical damage. Rather than retreat, its captain drove the failing ship directly into a Krell battlecruiser. Both vessels erupted in flames, creating a gap in the defenses. Now, Nam ordered. His weapons officer unleashed their main cannons, striking the planetary shield generator. It exploded in a cascade of energy, creating a hole in the protective field surrounding the Krell homeworld. Admiral Ju's voice came over the fleet-wide channel. All ships, concentrate fire on coordinate Sector 7. The relay shield is down. Throughout the battle, Ghost Fleet vessels made similar sacrifices. Ships deliberately took damage to protect Allied vessels. Captains executed maneuvers that damaged their own ships but created tactical advantages. When Admiral Ju's flagship took critical hits while destroying the Krell's main command center, Captain Nam led the boarding party personally. They fought their way through the structure, eventually capturing the Krell Supreme Commander in his control room. The battle ended not with the destruction of the Krell, but with their surrender. The ancient weapon components were dismantled, under Allied supervision. 3 weeks later, representatives gathered for the peace conference. The Krell, humbled but not destroyed, agreed to withdraw from conquered territories. The Ghost Fleet will now patrol openly, Ambassador Gill announced to the assembled delegates, not as conquerors but as guardians for all sentient species. Admiral Ju stood beside him, still wearing bandages from injuries sustained in the final battle. Humanity kept secrets because we feared the worst in others. Now we hope to bring out the best. Commander Han approached her after the ceremony. What happens now? Your ships are scattered throughout the galaxy. They stay where they are, Ju replied. But now everyone knows they're there. On view screens across 1,000 worlds, people watched as Ghost Fleet vessels emerged from hiding, revealing humanity's true strength and resolve. Species that had once dismissed humans as minor players now understood the truth. In silence and shadow, humanity had become the galaxy's hidden protector. The age of secrecy was over. The Ghost Fleet now sailed openly among the stars.